Welcome, Matt, to the West DFW REI Group. We really appreciate your time and coming on and showing us this amazing tool. I've been on numerous office hour calls that you guys do, and it's amazing that you do so many live trainings. And it's cool to hear all not just the teaching, but all the questions that come out of that. So,
Yep.
very helpful. And we appreciate your time today. We do want to learn everything we can about Dealmachine and realize we can't do that in an hour, but we'd like to focus in. And I'm pretty sure that everybody on the call is interested in learning how to use this great tool for driving for dollars. And
hmm
what a lot of people on this call, or several may not know, is that not only can you drive for dollars, but you can do a virtual driving for dollars, which is unheard of. So, looking forward to hearing that. And I'm sure, speaking for them, I'm sure that they are as well. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, I'd love to know. I know we have a few people on the call as well. I'd love to know a couple things. What market you're focused on. It's not, I think everybody's here DFW, but if there's any other like virtual markets or anything you're looking at, let me know. I'd love to know kind of where you're at in your journey, right? So, are you working on your first deal, your 100th deal, or somewhere in between? I'd love to know that. And then if you have any experience either with driving for dollars or Dealmachine, all those things, if you can jump in the chat, let me know. That context is just super helpful for me. Um, what I can go through today, I mentioned here briefly to kick off, top of the hour here, but I can cover, driving for dollars, virtual driving. We've got AI options. We even have an option to add bird dogs, like add people to your team. So I'll try to just kind of give the full playbook as much as possible. And this is
Okay.
being recorded too, right?
Yes.
Great. So I'd say I know I'll give a lot of information. If I'm going too quick, either yell at me and say, "Hey, slow down," and I can answer questions, or you can watch the replay and kind of have a a lasting playbook there. So uh,
Okay.
great. And I think, driving for dollars in general, it's something we were, I mean, originally known for and have been our goal is to be, I think we've achieved that by many accounts. Try to be best in class when it comes to driving for dollars and being able to use that whether it be on desktop or mobile, right? And when we're in the field, a lot of times mobile is going to be your main experience if you're physically driving for dollars, but some of the virtual stuff you're going to be doing on desktop. I work on partnerships over here. So Tim, I love teaming up with you guys. Happy to come on these calls. Happy to be helpful. Maria, thank you again for setting up everything. Always happy to be a direct support. So you have my direct email. You've got that playlist link. You've got the office hours link. I love to hear. We've got let's see, Tawana's in Oklahoma, familiar with D4D, amazing. Also, yeah, Maria, DFW using D4D, awesome. So appreciate that context. It's super helpful for me. Everything that I go through, it's really using the playbook of what we see working over and over again. I mean, I try to not share anything that's not tried and true. Like driving for dollars has been around forever, right? We just have helped you apply technology to make it more efficient, more effective, and not have to do it the old-fashioned way of, driving around and trying to, see an address and write it down and then look up info and then, highlight a map and, all that stuff. We wanted to just condense that down into a tool that makes all that really simple and easy for you. So, with that kind of background, we've been around for about 9, going on 10 years. We're coming up on 10. We've had nearly 15,000 deals done using Dealmachine at this point by our customers. So a lot of what I share, again, it's from them. It's from the playbook that's working. We've got, hundreds of interviews on our YouTube channel, people breaking down how they go do deals. And we're always evolving too. Like you'll notice as I go into this, yeah, we started off as driving for dollars, but we're adding new things all the time. We've added a ton of data. We've added like recently within the last year and a half, we did our unlimited free skip tracing launch. So things like that, where we're really trying to change the industry and how people, even pay for data, pay for tools and things. And so our goal is to always give you the edge, always help you continue to evolve beyond, the people that are on the cutting edge, embracing technology. You get the main benefits that other people wouldn't, right, of that new tech. So I will go through all the best practices there and the new stuff that we've built. AI driving for dollars being one example of those things, of new things we've built recently. and can kind of go through that. And I know we have a link somewhere. Tim, I don't know if you have that handy, or Maria. We've got a link that I try to set up for you guys. If not, I can go find it. But basically, as we go through this, if you want to follow along and use the software itself, we have a lot of people that, I've come out of these trainings before where like already started building their list, or they might, virtual drive for dollars with me, or try the AI feature, kind of make it interactive, right? So I always love when people can have that opportunity as well. Oh, go
I
ahead.
don't, you're not talking about my affiliate link, right?
Yeah, the little free trial link there. Mhm.
Okay, so go give them the free trial so they can go play with it live while we're
Yeah. Going through this, yeah, because
okay.
it's 7 day free trial, so that way if anyone doesn't
Right.
have Dealmachine, they can just get it for free there. And then I know we've thrown in some stuff that you wouldn't get going through our website. You have the unlimited free skip tracing unlocked with it. You get 50 bonus postcards with it. So if you want to actually direct market to sellers that you're driving for dollars leads,
Yep.
got that hooked up. And then about 500 free call minutes as well. So if you're going to cold call, we've got give you as much as free as possible. All right. So,
Yep.
um,
No, appreciate that. Maria can put the sign up link in the chat. The
awesome.
one thing I want to comment on before we get into this is
Yeah.
that I remember when you first came online as a driving for dollars tool.
Mhm.
I'm just going to be honest, I didn't pay much attention to it 10 years ago,
Yeah.
because
That's
that
fair.
wasn't what I was doing in my business. And,
Hmm.
I was 15 years into the business by then when you came online. So
Yeah.
I had other things that I was doing and I just didn't pay any attention to it. And then I saw you again about maybe a year or so ago.
Stuck around long enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Some people are just low. Maybe it's the gray hair. I don't know. But
We're
what
there
an
for supposed to work,
amazing difference, from what you start out as with all the data that you've added. That's just amazing. The cost point is just amazing for what you're giving, and then you got the capability. I mean,
Mhm.
all the features and stuff and tying
Yep.
it all together. Just amazing. So for the people on this call that's hearing this for the first time or looking at the deal or the driving for dollars feature for the first time, this is a powerful tool. And sit back and get ready to get excited and take notes. So, and Maria's giving you that link. Have you already put
Yeah.
it in, Maria? Oh, there it is right there.
There we go.
So
Perfect.
so you can go, if you haven't already signed up, go sign up for the free trial and you can follow along during Matt's presentation on
Mhm.
driving for dollars. So,
Yeah, and Tim, really appreciate the the context there, and yeah, again, we've stuck around long enough as a company on our end and evolved enough that yeah, even if you weren't either in a spot back then to pay attention to us, or now, we just really try to over deliver as much as possible to get people to at least say, hey, I gotta at least check this out and try it out. So
yep,
that's our goal with even the free trial, is like, hey, we want to hook you guys up, and hey, if it's a fit, great. If not, that's all right. But we want you to get trained up on those best practices today, whether you're using Dealmachine or not. So
yep.
that's kind of my goal here.
Amazing.
Yeah,
And sitting in on your office hour calls
yeah,
training, it's obvious that people are using the capabilities and they're doing deals as a result of it.
yep,
That
yep.
that says a lot right there.
Yeah. I love having you on, especially the master class call, like the Wednesday afternoon calls. It's great having you on. I know those, we've had those where people come on and talk about deals they're doing. And that's, yeah, it's that. I mean, that's why we're doing it, right? Like, we wouldn't be in business if we weren't actually helping people, go accomplish those goals. So, um, yeah, I love, Drive for Dollars. It's something that, again, has been around for a long, long time. We did not come up with that strategy.
Right.
Just to define it for people, hey, get in your car and drive around and look for fixer uppers. And the main reason why it's so valuable is that, a broad list that's easy to get access to is the least effective list, right? Like, the least effective in terms of response rate, in terms of your time, your budget. Any easy to get list is going to be super competitive. There's deals in there, but you're one of many that are going after it, right? Where the real value is that niche, unique list that no one else has, and those lists that are unique to you, that you have earned, that other people aren't willing to go out and find. you're going to find the hidden deals there. Like that's where those invisible deals are in your market, are the ones that you have gone out and by hand, ideally gone out there and identified these properties. Again, I'll give you a couple strategies today on how to do this, but you're identifying these properties and opportunities that may or may not show up in any other list, right?
That's
Like,
right. Yep.
and so they're the least competitive. And on top of that, if we looked at every single data point, if we looked at everything and just said, okay, what is the top motivating factor that someone's going to sell, the top kind of leading indicator, it is the condition of the property. It's
Yep.
if it's in bad shape, hey, that's a leading indicator that they're dealing with a problem that us as investors can go in and solve, right? Like we want to come in and maybe it's a problem property they don't want to deal with anymore, they can't deal with anymore, and if we're able to make ourselves available and make it known to them, like, hey, we're interested in that property, we could be a great option for them. And that's, it's a win for them. And that's where great deals come from too. So, uh,
I say this quite often. The harder it is to find that lead, the better the deal it's going to be
yep, yep. The more hoops
because
you have to
nobody
jump
else
through.
knows about it.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So that's what we want to give you that edge here today. So, what I'll go through, I'll try to share my screen here if I can. I'll go through it inside the technology, right? Like I'll actually go click for click here. Here we go. Tim, can you see that there, hopefully?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, perfect. So, and even the map itself, you might notice new things that we've upgraded. We're always, again, always evolving, always adding new stuff. But let me pull up the chat here to make sure I'll try to pay attention to the chat here too, guys. So if you have a question, either just like hit raise hand or put it in the chat. And Tim, if you see somebody throw some in the chat, maybe alert me or Maria too.
Yeah.
But
Maria, please
um,
help us with that too, please.
Awesome, thank you. So what I'll go through is that strategy exactly. It's how do you, build that list no one else has? How do you find properties that, again, are the number one indicator that someone's looking to sell, like that top leading predicting factor. The awesome thing is there's so much opportunity out there. Like I've heard a stat that at any given time, there's 16 million vacant homes in the US at any given time. So there's
Wow.
so much opportunity to go out there and find these properties. It's just a matter of putting in the work to go do it. And I will tell you the one stat I can share right off the bat, just to encourage you guys, is if we look at all of our customers and figure out, okay, which ones do we think are going to do a deal, and we have kind of a blind taste test, just everybody, I just see the stats in front of me. The people that get to 100 driving for dollars leads, specifically driving for dollars leads, the people that get over that threshold, they are statistically just so like astronomically more likely to go do deals. And they may or may not have a deal in those first 100. Like they probably don't. They, usually takes, 4 or 5 times that is on average what it takes to get to a deal. But that being said, and you can get lucky. You might have a deal in there. We have plenty of people who do get lucky there. But to have consistent long-term sustained success, if I see that you've added 100 driving for dollars leads, you've taken some time out. Like you've put a couple hours into this at least. You've really like started to learn how to do this. You're getting the systems and processes down, and you're starting to get that momentum going. And probably at this point, if you're reaching out to them, like talking to sellers and getting, really starting to build that push the snowball right down the hill. So I do want to set that goal for people right off the bat, is if you can get to 100 properties that are that have all these indicators we're talking about here, you're in a really good spot. So
Yeah, it for those on the call today, this business, I hope you already know this, but this business is a numbers game. It's
mhm.
not a one contact, one sell, one seller appointment, one deal. That does happen, but it doesn't happen all the time, and certainly not the norm. So this is a numbers game. So your 100 driving for dollar leads is a good data point to go work with,
Yep.
and people should be out there doing that or exceeding it.
Exactly. Yeah. So if that's the first goal I would challenge you guys to is getting to that 100 leads mark. What you're looking for as you drive around is just, hey, properties that have things like a tarp on the roof, gutters falling off, broken board up windows, the front yard or backyard's a mess. Weeds growing through the concrete. It can be doesn't have to be the house is falling over. It could be, more subtle things too. In your own market, you'll pick up on little things here and there as well, or it could be seasonal. Like if there's here in St. Louis, maybe not as much in Dallas, but here in St. Louis, if snow's on the ground and I'm driving around and I don't see any footprints, hey, you know what? It might be vacant, right? So you pick up on things like overgrown grass or a really overstuffed mailbox. Is there anything, Tim,
Electric
that you look
meter
for?
removed.
What was it again? Sorry.
Electric meter
Yeah.
removed from the
Yep.
house.
That's a great one. Yep. Yeah.
Um, Post-it notes all over the front door.
Yep. 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 All those things. And especially as you get used to this and maybe you focus on one part of town that you really get to know and drive, more consistent. You'll start to really kind of train yourself to know what to look for and get better and better at this and be able to pick out the more subtle things over time of oh, that house just, for whatever reason, XYZ, it stands out as one that could use some updating even. So these, all these little things you'll train yourself and get better and better at. Um, what I'm showing is the desktop version, right, of Deal Machine. There's a mobile app as well. And so if you're going out and actually physically driving for dollars, talking about what we're doing here in the field, you're probably using mobile for most of that. Desktop's going to be great for a couple other things I'll get to, but the first thing I want to mention is as you're driving, just to get to those 100 leads, just don't overthink it. Like, it's really easy to get bogged down because we've got, 700 plus data points on each property. Like you've got a ton of data you can work with here and a ton of things that you can be looking at. So it's a matter of just, hey, go out there and have that mission already, have your goals in order of, I just want to go out and add leads and go out and identify these properties, as I drive around. Um, so don't overthink it. You drive down the street. If I'm driving down Northwest 14th Street right here and I click on the corner and I see, hey, say in real life, 222 Northwest 14th Street, for example, just hypothetically is not in good shape. It's got all these signs we're talking about. Great. Tap on that property, tap add lead. It now turns that dot blue. You'll see that right here. It turns from a property into a lead for you, and then move on to the next one. Don't overthink it. Don't get, again, it's easy to get caught up in all the data. You can save that for a future step. The main deal is go out and drive in this way and look for those houses that are, just have all those signs and start adding them. Now, what I will share is a few pro tips with this process is as you go down the street, say I see, 306 is another good lead, for example, great, add that lead. I see it in real life. I tap on it there, great. Um, a couple pro tips as you go out and do this. One, I love the satellite view. That is great for kind of like matching up the rooftops. I love that as we drive down the street, my business partner and I, he'll literally be in shotgun and I'll be driving and we'll drive down the street. I'll look on the left-hand side, he'll look on the right, he'll have Deal Machine pulled up, and we'll be calling out addresses on both sides and just knock out a whole neighborhood real easy like that. Um, as you go out and drive, you'll notice that, hey, there's going to have a little tail that pops up behind you, and that is your route tracking here. And so, but for the first 6 months, it'll be blue. At 6 months, it'll turn yellow, and then in a year, it'll turn red and eventually disappear. And what's great for it is, hey, it's super easy to go out and drive around and find a great opportunity. And I know before we did this, like back at, before we created Deal Machine, David, our CEO, he created it because he was solving his own problem. He would go drive, get all excited, write down that address, go back home to go look up more info on it, and realize he wrote this thing down 3 times already. And it's like, man, I'm going in circles here. Like this is not this is not a good use of time. And
At least
so
he didn't miss it when he went by it again.
I know, right? Yeah, there's there's so many little things that he learned over time. He's just scratching his own itch, right? Solving his own problem. And
Yep.
he was an investor with a tech background, so he applied it to this, right? And so route tracking was a top priority for him. Of okay, we got to get really efficient at this, and best practice, I'd say it's 6 months. Go redrive it. Like there's going to be new opportunities. You're going to miss houses, the first time around. Like when it turns yellow, that's when we go out and redrive, especially if it's a high priority area, like somewhere you've done deals before or did a deal that you found driving for dollars, great, go redrive that area in 6 months. And it turns red over time too. Uh, I will mention the tap to add property mode down here is also super helpful. That's what when Vince is in shotgun and I'm driving, he'll turn on tap to add because it just like it sounds, you tap to add the property. You tap, 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 and now they're going to just add those properties, turn them blue, and do that real quick and easy, without having to touch any other buttons there. So it just saves you a couple clicks, and especially if you're in an area where there's a lot of leads as you drive around, like a lot of properties that you would qualify as a lead, that tap to add will save you a lot of time. So, um, awesome. So that's really helpful. I'll mention, over time you have a past routes that you can easily look at, and this is great for even like, you can do this to, use it as for tracking for yourself, or even for, tax write-off, or being able to go in and like looking at your own past routes, and I've done a lot of demos on this account, so you'll see a lot of those in here, but it's a great opportunity just to kind of continue to get more efficient, whether yourself is in here or anybody else is using Deal Machine. And then the final thing for initial in-person driving for dollars, these quick filters. I could do a whole nother follow-up on how to pull a list based on data and things, but the one big part I want to highlight for driving for dollars specifically is you're going to see when you click on a quick filter, you can actually select one of these and have data overlay on the map for you. So for example, like I love high equity. You don't have to have high equity, but high equity is a great qualifier for a lot of deals we do. It's going to start to highlight all of the high equity properties around me. And this is something new here, Tim. We just added heat mapping on here on like literally,
Nice.
literally yesterday it went live. So you can start to see like heat mapping pop up on Deal Machine that fit your leads, which is awesome to like look at a city level and figure out like where are all the, this type of property, right? So, um, yeah,
So it's heat mapping based on your filters?
exactly. Yep.
Oh, nice.
So I could say like, hey, let me see where a lot of action is happening, right? So let me look at recently sold, and now I can see, okay, what parts of town, and this is going to take a minute because there's a lot of data here, but what parts of town are a lot of transactions happening in, and you'll start to see on the heat map, where that's happening. So, um, there you go. That's just an example for you guys, but um, cool. So the highlights feature super super helpful as you drive around, and if you see a property that is highlighted and is in bad shape, you know what? That's a great lead. Make that a high priority lead. Make sure to add that and focus on it with your marketing. So, um, great. Tim, do you feel like I any other D4D tips, in person tips for you there? I'm curious your perspective here.
Um, I think that was pretty good. That was helpful to me. Um, I just how to get set up and get started, was very good. The colors, that was very helpful to show where you've been and how old it is and your
Hmm.
last drive and stuff. So I
Yeah.
think that was good. And of course,
Awesome.
where you're really going to learn is take this and go do it.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah. So, if you're doing it in person, great. Next, I can show you guys how to have a bird dog do it, virtual and AI. So I'll cover all those, but just want to make sure I nail the kind of the basics first. But Maria, did you have a thought there?
I do have a thought on, so as I am adjusting the quick filters,
Hmm.
um, the it's going to be adjusting the color or as far as the heat map as I'm adding more filters that
Hmm.
are needing that. And do I
Sorry.
need to match them all?
No, you can just select one. So probably the best driving for dollars application for this would be select one data filter. So like high equity, for example, and
Mhm.
pick one filter that really is a good indicator that could be a good deal for you. So, high equity is one example. I mean, you could do really anything here or get really specific if you want, but high equity is just kind of like a good baseline qualifier for us of just saying like, oh yeah, there's some meat on the bone, like we have a better chance of doing the deal with that individual seller. So we turn that on when we drive for dollars, and when we drive down the street, if we see a property that is highlighted like this and is in, not great shape, that's a high priority lead for us at that point. So it's just like a good additional way to kind of take your driving for dollars to the next level, let's say.
Okay. And there is one question in chat really quick.
Oh yeah.
It says, well, number one, can I use my prop stream? And number two, while driving are taking pictures okay?
Yeah, so yeah, PropStream would probably be the top tool that we get compared to often, and we have plenty of people who use us and them. I'd say some of the main differentiators for us is our Drive for Dollars experience, I think is pretty vastly different, like our mobile app. Would love to kind of have you guys experience ours just to see what you think. And then I know a big one for money saving and even data quality would be our skip tracing. Inside I think PropStream, I think it's still 10 cents per property. So like in Dealmachine, for example, I've got what 143,000 leads. In PropStream, that would cost you 14 grand to skip trace that. In Dealmachine, it's free. It's included in your account, and here's all the phone numbers, emails, all that ready to go. So
That is a huge plus.
yeah, that's probably our that one was a game changer for us when we launched that. So that one I'd definitely recommend people test it out, our phone numbers and emails, and the quality of it especially. Like I'd love for you guys to try that out. So um and then taking pictures while driving, obviously do it in a safe way. But when you take a picture using Deal Machine, what's awesome is it will actually tag that property with the picture you took. So you'll see it in mobile. It's a lot more obvious when you add the lead. You have like a little camera button you can take a picture. When that's useful is that picture you take, we have a lot of mail you can send through Deal Machine as well. And if you send direct mail through us, you can actually go in and here, let me add the lead to show you. You can actually select a template that is dynamic and it'll actually put the picture of the property on the postcard.
That's
And
cool.
so that yeah, and that increases your response rate big time. So if you're going to send direct mail with us, like I would take it might be worth the time to pull over, take a picture, and keep going. So
Especially for those out of state property owners,
Mhm.
and they haven't seen that house for 5 years, and you're
Yeah.
sending them a current picture.
Exactly. And out of state, you've got that right here. So you could throw that on and say, hey, you know what? Show me all the out of state owners while I drive around. I don't know if there's any. Here's one. So I don't know if there's any, nearby. There we go. So if you have one highlighted, that's a great use, Tim. Great idea is like, you know what? If that's a good lead, pull over, it's highlighted, take a picture of that one because they might not even know what it looks like. So
Yep.
yeah, that's a great tip. I love it. Um, cool.
And before we get too far away from this,
Yeah.
the other question maybe you can kind of go over with everybody is going clear back. You just decide you're going out for driving for dollars,
hmm
trying to get set up. And at the very beginning, it asked you, are you going to do a free drive or are you going to drive a list? If you can explain the choices there.
hmm so let's see. If you go, basically, probably the easiest way to show this, I'll go in my leads tab. So, when it comes to actually, doing a free drive, is just simply going in the mobile app, on the map, right? Is your kind of default opening screen right there, and then drive for leads is the big orange button. That's where you can click it and go in and just free drive around and track your route and all that. The other option here is you can actually do a planned route, and that would be if you're on our pro level enough. So if you're not on starter, you get access to this feature. And our planned route, that mode is super, super helpful for, if you would like import a list of leads, for example, or if you pull a list of leads on our map, for example, you can go in there and have the app then route you turn by turn navigation to that entire list. And I would recommend while it's doing that, continue to drive for dollars, continue to look for other properties around you, keep adding leads, all of that. But while you're doing that, that's super helpful for things like, hey, maybe you want to put a sticky note on the door. Maybe you want a door knock. Maybe you want to put a door hanger. Maybe there's a lot of reasons you might want to go in person and having turn by turn navigation to that entire list where it can give you the fastest route possible and tell you, even predict and say, okay, this if I drive these 304 leads, let me see if this might be too big of a list, but yeah, this one's a little too big, but it'll tell you, oh, it's going to take you, 3 hours, right? And it's going to say, okay, turn here, then here, great, next one, here, next one, here, next one. So really going in there and kind of following this turn by turn navigation can be really helpful for all those reasons. So
That's pretty cool that it'll map its turn by turn.
yeah, and it's optimizing the route for you at any time. So yeah, it's really that one can be awesome for and if you're going to take that next step and do in-person marketing like that, like you talked about earlier, the leads that not everyone's going to find are going to be your best. Same thing with marketing. If you do something in marketing that other people aren't willing to do and you really stand out, like putting sticky notes on the door or door knocking or door hangers or anything like that, that's when your really high response rates will come in. That's when you're going to have, you're going to stand out doing that, right? So, um,
And
yeah.
for anybody that's done driving for dollars, for more than just a couple of addresses, trying to go into any other mapping tool and lay out the best route to go and not waste a whole lot of time. It takes time. It's time consuming to set that up. So having this do it for you is a great option.
Awesome. Yeah, um hold on one second here. Um
So the
sorry.
best practice for that would be pulling the list here on my desktop, going and starting on opening it up on my app on my phone and starting to drive
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
so you can
list.
exactly. Sorry, Maria, keep cutting you off.
It's okay. Right.
Uh
So
yeah,
I'll be
exactly.
able to pull it up on my phone
Yep,
under on the list already built and then
exactly.
start driving it that way.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you can kind
Okay.
of get best of both worlds there in that way, pulling a list and driving and trying for dollars there too. So um awesome. So you've got all that there. I will mention you also have the opportunity if you're on our pro level and up to add like pro, for example, you get three total people on your team. So if you go into your account right here and click on team, I've got a whole crew on here, but you can add them and they can go out and be, drive with you, drive for you, be a bird dog if you know that term. Michael here is somebody who's driving for dollars for us in Denver, right? I'm based in St. Louis. We have like Elliot here is driving about an hour south of me in Farmington, Missouri. Vince and I are on here, and you can kind of adjust the settings on what all they can add or not, or what features they have access to. So you have a lot of customizability as the team leader on here, just adding people and then basically maybe show them this training or teach them yourself, right? If you're getting good at, I always recommend getting good at it yourself first, but go in there and it's kind of how you scale this strategy is have other bird dogs, quote unquote, have other people that you add into your account go do this for you. And if it's somebody who is somebody who you're like business partners with, yeah, maybe give them permission and everything. If not, and they're just going out and adding leads, you can adjust their settings to be just add leads and not have access to anything else in your account. And great, just have them go out there and tag properties. And I mean, we've had people literally go in there and add like Amazon drivers and Instacart drivers and people who are out in the mail postmen like things like that. People who are in the field and just say, hey, you know what? I'll give you, log into my deal machine. If you see a great lead, just add it on there. And if I do a deal, then I'll give you XYZ referral, right? So like some kind of, payout on it. So, yeah, we've seen people do that and you can customize the features they get access to and just kind of have them be, a bird dog as well with you. So, um, yeah. So you can build a team that way. I will mention, in addition to that, we have the virtual driving option up here on the left-hand side. So this start driving button for you, if you click on that, click on the map, you're really anywhere, and then hit start driving. What it's going to do here, and I might have picked a bad spot not as residential. But what it's going to do here is basically do the same thing that you would do in real life, right? But do it virtually. So same idea of if I'm going to go drive down the street and look for properties that have, a tarp on the roof or the gutters falling off or those broken board up windows or again, front yard, backyard's a mess, like all of those kind of telltale signs of what you're looking at there of like a good driving for dollars lead. You can do this in a virtual way by basically clicking for dollars here. And we have people, whether you're doing this because you're, in a market you're not physically based in, or We have people doing this because maybe they don't have a car, or maybe it's, they have a job that's really hard to get out during the day, or, we have people who have virtual assistants that they will hire their VA to go do this for them. There's a lot of reasons why virtual D4D could be useful for you, this clicking for dollars approach. And I always prefer the in-person just because it's the most up-to-date information, but this is a great like kind of secondary alternative. That the one pro tip I will share is I'm trying to look to see for whatever reason the photo taken date isn't showing up for me this second. But like if I say, okay, say this is a good lead for me per se, you see like some weeds growing through the concrete and stuff. If I add that lead, there would be usually there's a photo taken date right here at the bottom right hand corner. I'll have to ask my team what's going on there, but it'll tell you like, okay, that photo was taken in March of 2024, for example. Um, the biggest, I would say, pro tip I can share here is just look at that photo taken date and then compare that to the property data and look at when that house was last sold. And you can see, oh, you know what? This house hasn't sold since 2010, and this photo was taken 2024. Even though it's a year-old photo, the house has not changed hands since that photo was taken. So the probability it's in similar shape is very high. Even if it's like a 5-year-old photo, if it hasn't been sold in 20 years, like the probability that that house is in that similar shape to when the photo was taken is still very high. And so I would use that as kind of my benchmark on, is this a good lead or not? And, should I consider this photo, which here's a good dime for dollars lead. Should I consider this photo to be kind of relevant still in terms of what the current condition of the property is? And for example, this one hasn't sold since 2017. It's probably pretty good lead there. So, um, yeah. Any questions there, guys? Or Tim, any thoughts there on virtual driving?
No, I like it. I've heard that your team say on the office hour calls that that date should be down there in the bottom right corner. So
Yeah, I'll ask my team, see what's going on there. I mean, we just launched the heat mapping, so maybe it like might have a quick bug to fix there. But we're always improving it, always trying to squash those as fast as possible. So um cool. Awesome. So there's your virtual option. So how to think about this again. You have the in-person. Go out there, find your first 100 leads, look at the condition of the property, go out, think about route tracking, think about maybe potentially highlighting different properties around you. Think about turning on the tap to add or the satellite view. Those things all help go a really long way. Could potentially add somebody on your team to go do this with you or for you as well to kind of scale the strategy and do more and more. But just get to those first 100 leads and you're going to start to build the right processes in place. And then on the virtual side, again, if you can do virtual from your phone too, it looks just like that, just a little orange button right there. But you can do it on mobile, on desktop. Go out there, click on that, go drive virtually, click for dollars that way, and again, get to those first 100 leads, and you're in a really really good spot. So you've got in person, you've got the team, you've got virtual, and then finally I can show the AI option here, which is pretty crazy. But do you see any other questions here? Anybody else? Just making sure I want to do this as efficiently as possible or effectively as possible for you guys.
I do have one question on quick filters.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, at the bottom there's a match all button.
Yes. Yep.
Can you explain to everybody when to use that and when not to use it?
Yeah. So this is actually a good kind of transition into the virtual driving one too. So going in here, basically anytime you're going to filter based on our data, we've got again 700 plus data points to work with. You've got quick filters here, which are seller motivations, and you've got on market data even as well. You have property types, you have price points, bed bath. If you don't know where a data point is, click on more and go in here and you can search because we've got everything from equity to mortgage data to information about the contact itself, the person that owns the property, family members, all of that, owner types, is it again out of state, things like that, property characteristics, land, tax info, foreclosure data, liens, HOAs, all kinds of stuff here that you can search by and dig into. All these data points here Ideally, you're kind of like stacking these data points. You're kind of trying to find the intersection of all this data, right? This is, showing you, okay, where are the most out of all these properties I'm looking at, what are the ones that are most likely to sell? And so that match all button, what that's going to do here is you can go in here and say, you know what, show me all the properties that are off market. So they haven't been listed yet, haven't raised their hand and said, hey, everybody come in and, bid up the price. Uh, also make sure that they are, have high equity. We talked about that earlier. Great. If we wanted to fit both of those criteria so that it's not off market or high equity, but it's off market and high equity, the match all button is what you need to turn on. That kind of like stacks all those data points and shows you here now, like, great, there's 1,195 properties that I'm looking at right here that fit, both of these quick filters, off market and high equity. So that's kind of how I would think about it. I would default to turn on match all. That's you know most of the time you're building a list, it's going to be it's going to be more effective. So great questions. Awesome. Trying to monitor the chat here for you guys too. Great. Now, kind of transitioning into this AI piece. So, what I'll mention here, and let me clear all my filters here. What I'll mention is we just launched this about 6 months ago. It's something that, again, we are always trying to be on the cutting edge for you guys. We're always trying to give you the latest and greatest, trying to give you a different method of doing things. So that way you're doing things other people aren't. And with this feature, we also launched our corporate skip tracing. That's another thing we added in here. So you've got LLC owner phone numbers and emails in here now too, and it's increased our contact match rate greatly in the US as well, like 95% contact match rate for single family homes now. So we're giving you these things that it gives you that edge in your market that other people don't have access to. This AI option here is another example of this. So I would experiment with this if I were you guys, like, especially because it's so new. It's like you can get that edge that other people have not really, done yet or fully leveraged yet. Um, what our goal was here is to give you a little AI assistant built into Dealmachine. And you'll see this little try AI vision builder at the bottom, this little button right here. If you pop this open, what it's going to do is now when you look at properties inside Dealmachine, you can pull a list, right? Like and get the unlimited skip tracing with it. Great. You can drive for dollars, get leads that way. Great. Now, the second kind of next level strategy is you can have the AI assistant analyze that list for you, analyze what you're looking at. And what's great about it is that it can do things that you used to have to hire a VA to do and would take them hours, or if you try to do it yourself, it's going to take you forever. Like the virtual driving for dollars, for example, it's great, but maybe it's not the best use of your time. Like maybe you have a little more budget to throw at this, and instead of having a VA do this, you could just pay for the AI to do its thing. And so an example of this would be inside Dealmachine, you can go in and use this drawing tool on the top left corner and say, okay, great. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to draw around, this part of the neighborhood. So make a little, square here between Dalworth Street, Fort Worth Street, 23rd, and whatever this other north-south 19th right here. So you've got all of these right here. There's 61 properties that we just highlighted with that draw tool. Now, with those 61 properties, instead of having to look individually, picture for picture, virtual drive for dollars, look at everything in there, look at the data in there, all of that, you can pop open the AI vision right here and have the AI do that at scale in like a few seconds. And so, we give you, I mean, you could literally type in whatever you want. You could say, look for properties that fit this criteria and this and that. And you can prompt it. If you've ever used an AI tool for anything in real estate, I'd love to know that in the chat. Like, tell me if you guys are doing that actively at all. But what how you use an AI tool is you prompt it, right? You give it instructions on what to do. And then it takes that prompt and goes and runs it against the data it has. And so we've given it access to those 700 plus data points, right? So you've got all that data to look at. And we're also having it look at the satellite and street view images of each property. And so you can go in there and say, yeah, tell me all the properties that are, in your opinion, good for wholesaling. So it can run, number analysis that way. Tell me properties that have things that are, it's like a corner lot, right? Which can be useful for various things. A bad roof. I have a bunch of saved prompts here, past ones I've run. Probably the best prompt that we've seen work over and over again that would save you the most time is this distressed properties filter right here. This is the AI you telling it to go essentially drive for dollars for you. And so what you're doing in here is you're saying, okay, and that's a preset prompt, like that's already preset down here. You just click that button and it's going to fill all of this in for you right here. We've tested this quite a few times, but this prompt is saying, hey, go identify properties that show signs of distress based on the satellite and street view images, like you would for virtual drive for dollars. Look for things like neglected landscaping, structural damage, broken roofs, boarded up windows, general disrepair. Great. So it's giving it instructions, right, of what to look for, the factors to score it against, and then say it doesn't have to fit all of this, but the more the better. You can go in if you wanted to be really, really strict. You can actually crank up this matching score and say, hey, it's got to fit that prompt word for word. The default is 50. That's kind of the middle of the road. It's going to, kind of pass that test or not. And you're ready to go. You've got all this right here where it's going to look at these 61 properties that I've drawn a square around and check it against this prompt. And so one by one, it's going to go through and again do something that would have taken you forever, or you had to hire a VA to do it, or anything like that. And now it's finally effective enough and cheap enough that we can run this for 2 cents per property to run like the AI token to actually analyze the thing, which it explains right here. And if I do this, so it's going to be $1.22 for me to actually run this analysis on these 61 properties. I hit build with AI vision, spend $1.22. Great. Confirm build. And now you're going to see it go through and one by one analyze each individual property and tell me which ones fit my prompt. And that's all
Wow.
customizable. Like you could go in and you could say like, look for properties with a pool in the backyard that's got green water, right? Like things like that, that now we just found, hey, out of all these properties, looks like 33 of them it considers distressed. So pretty crazy. Let's see what it got here. So clicked on that. Yeah, I think it's the landscaping right here. Let's see if we can find another good example. Um, yeah, landscaping. You can come in here and say, hey, look specifically at the houses, right? You can give it, if you go through and you're like, it's good results, but it's not amazing. Well, you know what? Give it more specific guidance and it'll go through and like listen, it's doing its thing. You're just giving it criteria to run against, right? But we've seen people have awesome success with it and basically build a list that no one else has as quickly as possible, get a lot of the benefits of D4D with just a couple clicks. So,
So do you, in your experiments with it, do you have a ballpark average of what's correct and what's not, or what's
yeah,
close?
I'd say at least half the list is usually really solid. So, whenever I go through and I've like spot checked it myself, that's generally what you're looking at. Yeah, you're right about Lexington, the delay in images. So, like I mentioned earlier, it's if the property has not changed hands, then that's a really good qualifier on like, okay, this is probably still good data, like a good image to work off of. How you can get around that is basically out of those properties we analyze, right? What I'd recommend is, hey, you know what? Why don't I draw around that area and also throw on one more filter of last sale date? So if I know that these photos were taken, say I jump into the street image and I know these photos were taken like 2 years ago, well, you know what? Let me go in here and say, hey, filter and only show me properties where the last sale date is more than 2 years ago, right? And so that way I know that this property has not changed hands since the photo was taken. And now I'm going to get even more efficient with my spending. Now I can look at just those 50 properties now instead of the 69 or whatever it was. And I'm going to save myself a little bit of time and money. And okay, cool. Let me rerun it. Great. And it's a great way to kind of like have weed out the ones that aren't even worth looking at, right? So, um, good tip.
The one thing I have learned about AI is your mind is your only limitation on
Yep.
what you ask it.
Yep.
It's just a matter of learning what you want out of it, and you have to ask it for it using the right words
Hmm.
to be able to test it and get what you're looking for. And it's pretty interesting that you've done this, and um, and it spits out that information so quickly.
Yep. And you can crank this up if you're like, hey, you know what, I'd be a little more strict with the data, right? I again, like your creativity, the prompt around this is the main factor of what you're gonna get out of it, right? So that's where I would say go in there and again, like type in about the pools, for example. Like we've had people in Phoenix do that a lot, where it's they're putting in and saying, okay, for my region, if there's an empty pool in the backyard or like green water in the pool, then that could be an indicator that it's, in a distressed property, right? So, things like that, I would try to think about and try to get creative. And again, you're right, like you're only limited by your imagination of what you prompt it with. And this is just one prompt we've tested out and gotten really good results from. So, um,
Matt, do you have a class or have you taught a class in the past? Can you teach a class in the future about how to use all the filters, how to do the searches and
yep.
nothing but that? Because I've seen you go back and forth and change in the filter criteria. I can see that, I mean, there's a lot here, and that piece, it would be important again to get out what you're looking for. You got to know how to ask for it, including the filtering.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. That's one I'm more than happy to do a follow up down the road too for you guys of basically a deep dive on how to use data to build a list and use those filters in the most strategic way. It's really there's kind of a baseline of data you want to use around like picking an area, a property type, and then going off market. And then from there, start to filter on things about the property itself, right? Like your buy box from a like property characteristics standpoint. And then finally layer on seller motivations. And that kind of general framework works really, really well to build out a good list. So yeah, I'm happy to come back on and like do a deep dive on that process and build lists with you guys.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
I think that'd be very helpful.
let's plan on it.
So, okay, cool. What else
Awesome.
we got? Anybody else have any questions? You're welcome to unmute yourself and speak up. Lexi, don't be bashful.
Great.
Russell, Juana, Angel, anybody?
There's that link here one more time for you guys. I'll repaste this. I like that little. Uh,
So I have a question on the app. So
mhm.
on the heat map, does that also apply on the app too, as well, showing those properties?
I don't. That's a great question. I'm not sure if it's live on mobile yet. I'd have to check because it literally went live yesterday. So
Okay.
yeah, I'd have to check on mobile. Typically, mobile you can be doing filtering, but more frequently you're just driving for dollars with it, and then on
Mhm.
desktop you're filtering. But yeah, I'll ask my team. So
Thank you.
That heat map is a pretty cool feature.
yeah, it's brand new. It's I think people are gonna really really like that. It's great for kind of assessing your locations and looking at like the first one off the bat I'm going to use it for is transaction data and see like what parts of town are people buying and transacting, and yeah, that's there's some use cases for it.
If nobody wants to buy there, why would you want to buy there?
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, if your goal is to flip,
Yep.
you know,
Flip or wholesale, either way, it's like yeah, go where the fish are, right? So
that's right.
yeah.
Any pro tips for using strictly the app? Like Tim and I, we were testing the app and we're doing driving for dollars. So just any pro tips. We just went to a certain area and we were just going to drive the street. So we did not build a list or anything like that. We were just going to test the app. So at first we were kind of struggling a little bit with the orientation of the map and north and south and
Mhm.
just the dots seeing I was trying to filter and use the property type and then the quick filters in the app. So any tips?
Yeah, I mean, it's using your location, so make sure you have that enabled. Even things like closing out other apps and making sure it's up to date, those are just kind of best practices for any app. But it's going to make your phone faster and help, especially if you're on Android, it helps a lot too. To just like close out everything else and have it running. Um, the mobile app really is the big one where we get the most done is when it's if you have two people, one driving, one in the passenger seat, and you turn on the tap to add mode and you go down the street and make sure the route tracking's on and look and call out addresses on both sides. I mean, Vince and I have gotten like a lead a minute, like solid leads doing that. So my business partner and I. So yeah, I'd recommend that as kind of like a playbook for just getting the most out of driving for dollars. So
So when you say call out numbers, you're saying if you see a distressed property and you see
yeah.
the address, you're
Mhm.
calling out that number so your partner is
Adding it.
selecting it on the map on the app,
Exactly.
and
Yep.
when you tap it, it adds it automatically.
Exactly. So he turns on tap to add mode, he turns on route tracking, and then I'll be driving, and then I'll look and I'll say, hey, 123 Main Street, 124, 125 Main Street, 127. And he'll be looking on his side, so he'll be adding his side, he'll be adding the ones that I call out, and we just knock it out together. So
Yep.
um there we go. Hope that helps.
It did.
All right, guys. I know I shared the link. That's the free trial with all the bonuses. So make sure to go through that to be able to get all that you wouldn't get just going through our website. But let me know how else I can help. I know I shared the office hours at my email, all of that. But appreciate you having me on.
And we appreciate you coming and joining us and honoring us with your presence. It's always amazing to hear you talk on the other calls too. You know, there's so much for us to learn to get caught up with you, you know, and even just to go use it, there's a lot to it. So for those on the call, if you when you go sign up, feel free to call Maria and I because we're going to be using it just like you are. If you have questions, maybe we can help each other. And then Matt's happy to work with us and get us answers too. So,
Yeah, and again, appreciate you inviting me on. Thanks for the kind words there. And you're right, like the best thing is just get in there, start using it, and you're going to learn as you go. And that's like anything in real estate, right? So I'd say like don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Just like go out, take action, and learn along the way.
yep. And don't let your 7 day trial go to waste. Jump in
Yeah,
there and use it. That's how you're
actually,
going to learn
yeah,
it
yeah,
and realize, you know, that how it works and the benefit to you and that you can't live without it. So don't just put it aside now and don't look at it again for the next 8 days because then you're in trouble.
yeah.
Get
Agreed.
fired.
Love it.
All right, Matt.
Cool. Thank you so
Appreciate
much,
your
guys.
time.
Appreciate it. Have a
Thanks,
good one.
sir. Have a great one.
Thanks.